Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. Well, we begin our program tonight on a fairly sad note. We are saying goodbye to one of the great American black conservatives, Mr. Herman Cain. We offer our condolences to his friends and to his family members. Herman Cain was born in 1945 on December 13th in Memphis, Tennessee, of Lenora Davis Cain and Luther Cain. He was a great man. He was a man who ran for president for the nomination of the Republican Party back in 2011 and 2012. He is known for calling himself a graduate from Morehouse University, calling himself ABC candidate, American Black Conservative. He was a good man, he was an honorable man, and he will sorely be missed among the Republican Party. We will miss you, Herman Cain. Here I am now, David Colbert, a American Black Conservative. Because first of all, as you often said, we are first Americans, second black and conservative. We are both, not just one. Well, we thank you once again for your service, Herman Cain. God bless you and your family. We're going to be discussing some issues today. First of all is this thing, and I've been addressing this for a while. I addressed this previously in a previous program. It is about Vanessa Gilliam, who was murdered, a soldier from the Fort Hood base. It was a hideous thing. I'm not going to go over the details, but it was an awful thing that happened. Well, today, President Trump hosted the attorney for Ms. Gilliam's family and in the Oval Office at the White House. Says here, as a quote, "If President of the nation wants to make a history together with my daughter, he'll make sure that the devil base is closed." This is Gilliam's mother, Gloria, said to Daniel Wallace, by Daniel Wallace on Fox News. Attorney for Vanessa Gilliam's family says, "How could a soldier be murdered on U.S. base?" Natalie Quallen, an attorney, tells Sandra Smith on America's Newsroom, Vanessa Gilliam's family will have a private meeting with President Trump as they continue to search for answers on the murder case. And they did have that meeting on the 30th. President Trump is expected to meet with them. The attorney representing the family, Natalie Quallen, joined Gilliam's mother and sister at a press conference Thursday morning on the National Mall. The bill is called I Am Vanessa Gilliam Bill, will allow active duty service members to report sexual harassment or assault to a third party outside of their chain of command. The goal is to eliminate fears of retaliation that discourage soldiers from reporting abuse by superiors. Ms. Gloria Gilliam goes on to say, "My daughter is already a history," the soldier's mother told a crowd in Spanish. "If the president of the nation wants to make history together with my daughter, he'll make sure that the devil base is closed and all the," I'm not going to repeat what she said, "the DAMN corruption that exists in the Army is cleaned out." And I understand her anger and her upset over the situation. It was a very hideous thing. They're still waiting to have the funeral. They haven't had the funeral yet. Or her 16-year-old sister also said, "A woman standing here speaking for my sister. I want Congress to pass I Am Vanessa Gilliam bill." Vanessa Gilliam's younger sister, Lupe, has said. The Army on Thursday also named an independent panel of 5 experts to investigate the culture at Fort Hood around the time of Gilliam's disappearance, which was back in April. The review will be headed back by Chris Swacker, an attorney for the former Assistant Director of FBI Criminal Investigative Division. The Army is committed to taking care of our soldiers, civilians, families, soldiers for life, and this independent review will explore the current command, climate, and culture at Fort Hood, Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy said in a statement according to the USA Today. Gilliam was reported missing from the U.S. Army base, as I said earlier, in April. She is believed to have been bludgeoned to death and dismembered by a fellow soldier on the base. Her remains were found in late June, and main suspect SPC Aaron Robinson fatally shot himself as authorities closed in on him in the neighboring town of Kylene, officials said. Robinson's girlfriend, 22-year-old Cicely Ann Aguilar, pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to charges alleging she helped discard the body and hide evidence. Miss Gilliam's lawyer said, "We will not accept anything less than justice for Vanessa," Qualm said in a statement. "When someone volunteers to serve our country, they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect by their fellow service members. This bill will help us provide protection and respect to others that was denied to Vanessa Gilliam." And I do pray that this bill does pass. If I have anything to say about it or do with it, I will promote the bill. Once I find out exactly what's in the bill, we may even read excerpts from the bill. The crowd gathered on the National Mall Thursday is expected to march for the U.S. Capitol and the White House, where the family and the attorney will meet with President around noon. Afterward, Trump is expected to hold a press conference to announce his support for the I Am Vanessa Gilliam bill. Qualm and her clients will hold another press conference at a park south of White House fence to talk about the private meeting with the president and their next steps. Okay, Trump, the Justice Department, President Trump, the Justice Department, FBI are investigating the death of Vanessa Gilliam. Specialist Vanessa Gilliam family met with President Donald Trump at the White House on July 30th, 2020. The Department of Justice is now involved with the murder of Army Vanessa Gilliam, President Donald Trump said on Thursday. Gilliam's family met with Trump at the White House to urge support for the I Am Vanessa Gilliam bill, which was written by the family's attorney, Natalie Qualm. I hope I'm saying it right. Gilliam was allegedly murdered, and I'm going to step back on that one. Gilliam was murdered by another soldier at Fort Hood on April 22nd, the day she went missing. She was bludgeoned with a hammer, according to Qualm, and then dismembered with a machete. What an awful way to die and have to be disgraced by such violence. Her remains weren't discovered until late June, so it has been a horrible sight. Trump said that the reports of Gilliam's death hit me very hard, and that the FBI, DOJ were not involved in the investigation. Were now involved in the investigation. We didn't want this to be swept under the rug, President Trump said, before offering the help to pay for the funeral, though Qualm said the military was taking care of it. The DOJ did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Now, I will say something else that was not stated in this article, but I watched the program as well, and President Trump also agreed and said that he would even pay for her funeral and all whatever it took out of his own pocket if necessary. We do know that the government will take care of certain things, but he has already offered his support for the family as well out of his own personal things. On Thursday, the Army announced the 5 civilian experts who will be leading a panel of Fort Hood Command, Climate, and Culture. The panel's finding will be provided to James McPherson, the Undersecretary of the Army, and the General Joseph Martin, the Army Vice Chief of Staff. The two officials will then consider every recommendation and implement changes as appropriate, the Army said. Trump told the Gilliam family on Thursday that he hoped something very positive will come out of the honor of your sister and your daughter, who he called a spectacular person. Well, we're going to take a short break right now, and we're going to be right back at you in a moment. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Welcome back. You're watching Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Something interesting happened today, of course, as usual. Donald Trump had a controversial tweet. Yeah, we know he's going to do it. I read Donald Trump's book, and they obviously haven't, because the fake news media are already up in arms, and you can imagine what they're saying. With universal mail-in voting, this is Trump's quote, and then goes in parentheses, not absentee voting, which is good, 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. These are the words of President Trump in his tweet. It will be a great embarrassment to the USA. And then he says, delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote. And that was at 5 a.m. early in the morning on July 30th. Now, of course, we know, first fake news media comes out and said, he's afraid because he's behind in the polls. Yeah, whatever. They said that back in 2016. Matter of fact, they had him losing, 80-some percent or 90-some percent to Hillary Clinton's, to Hillary Clinton's 92%, and he had won 6.6%. Yeah, whatever, of the vote. But I know that President Trump is just pulling the Democratic Party's strings, because I'm well aware, and I'm amazed that they don't know what's going on, because he's a businessman, and he does not sometimes pass up the opportunity to jerk their leg and to cause them to go into a panic. But President Trump has no intentions of seeking to delay the election. He's not worried about the polls. In another story, we look out to California and we see the same foolishness has been going on out there for years and years and years. The ACLU, the American Center for Law and Justice, files a lawsuit challenging California's ban, listen to this, on singing and chanting in church. You know I had to talk about this. This is pure foolishness. I'm a praise and worship leader, so I know it's pure foolishness. Riverside County, California, on July 15, 2020, the PRN Newswire said the American Center for Law and Justice has teamed up with Tyler Bursch, the National Center for Law and Policy, and advocates for faith and freedom, to file a lawsuit challenging the state of California's ban on singing and chanting activities in the place of worship on behalf of Calvary Chapel of Ukiah, and Calvary Chapel, Fort Bragg, and River of Life Church in Oroville, California. How many of y'all know, how many of y'all can say First Amendment rights? I am so sick of this garbage. The government, I don't care, federal, state, local, whatever, you have no right, according to the Constitution, to place any laws over the lawful assembly of people worshiping and serving their God. You cannot regulate that. The Constitution is one of the First Amendment rights that was given in this country. Freedom of religion. You cannot govern our services. Yet, of course, California pushed the envelope. This is a violation of First Amendment rights. As I said earlier, there's a lot of violations of First Amendment rights. You can't close a church. You have nothing to do with that. If the people don't want to show up, don't let them show up. You know, we have rights in this country. And I believe our First Amendment rights and our Second Amendment rights are constantly being trying to be stepped on by the Democratic Party, or the Democratic Slavery Party, as I like to call them, as they try to avoid their connections with this country's discrimination against African Americans. Okay, the ACLJ filed a lawsuit challenging California's ban on singing in church. On July 1st, 2020, California updated the health order to include a worship guidance that now states you can't guide nothing. You have no control over a person's worship. A quote, place of worship must therefore continue singing, must therefore discontinue singing and chanting activities on or about July 11, 2020. A spokeswoman for California Office of Emergency Services confirmed that the worship ban must be followed. This ban violates our plaintiffs' constitutional rights under the First Amendment and equal protection clauses under the U.S. Constitution. What in the heck is wrong with California? Of course, we already noticed a lot wrong with California. Jordan Seculo, executive director of the ACLJ, I don't know what happened to ACLU. But the ACLJ immediately condemned California governor's July 1st ban on singing and chanting in the place of worship. That's part of our service, praising and worshiping our God. Quote, banning singing in California churches is an unconstitutional abuse of power, and to do it in the name of pandemic is despicable. This ban is clearly targeted at religion. It is clearly a violation of our First Amendment and direct violation of religious liberties. And this, people, is a fact. I told you in my earlier programs, and I've talked to people here in my services, they're coming after Christians. This is not the first. There's going to be more attempts again to come after the Christians. And I think a lot of it is the Democratic Party, and they're behind it all. Because I'm going to tell you, like I said earlier, if you believe on God and trust in Him, you have to believe in His Word. And His Word is not for all these things that our Democratic Party in this country stand for. I'm not going to go over the things because I don't want a whole lot of garbage said to me in reference to it. But you know what their platform is. Robert Tyler, partner at the Tyler & Birch LLP, agreed and added, "Let me clear, the state does not have the jurisdiction to ban houses of worship from singing and praising God." We're going to take a short break right now, and we're going to come back here at the Black Conservative Voice on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. As Representative Kane liked to say, I am an American black conservative. Okay, continue with this story. On July 13, 2020, this is after that date, Governor Newsom issued yet another order governing indoor operations. Under this most recent order, worship services, together with protests, fitness centers, malls, offices for non-essential actors, and personal care services are permitted to remain open in the counties in which plaintiffs are located, and singing and chanting is only banned in worship services. What? The protesters weren't singing and chanting? Why are you banning our worship, Mr. Newsom? I would like to call you Mr. Nuisance, because this is a public nuisance. It is a violation of our constitutional rights. It is a violation of our First Amendment rights. Try to do it to a Muslim church. Try to do it to a Muslim mosque. Have I heard anybody saying restrict that in a Muslim mosque? Anybody heard that? Did that go out to the Muslim or the, I don't know, whatever other churches or worship places there are? No, it was aimed at the Christian church. Such activities are still permissible for all other indoor activities, including protests. Do you see this foolishness? We need to impeach him as governor of California. He's coming against worship service, saying you can't sing and praise God in your worship service, but you can sing and lift up garbage that they're lifting up in protest. Named as defendants, all in their official capacities only, are California Governor Gavin Newsom, California Public Health Official Sonia Angel, MD, Mendocino County Public Health Officer, Noemi Duham. All these people are atheists, I'm telling you right now, they're not believers. Butte County Public Health Officer, NGOC, Fong, I can't pronounce the name. Failure to comply with the worship ban constitutes an imminent threat to public health, except protest doesn't. I mean, you can go around with those people, hold hands with them, chant, sing, whatever, and it's no danger to your health. Foolishness. Somebody's got to do something. Failure to comply with worship ban constitutes an imminent threat to the public health and menace to public health. Constitutes a public nuisance and is punishable by fine or imprisonment or both. What is this foolishness? What did I tell you? They're trying to take away this country's religious liberty. I'm calling on all religious sects and all religious people. I don't care who, what you worship or whatever. This is unlawful. This is a violation of your constitutional rights as well, even though they are attacking the Christian church in particular. The lawsuit requests a restraining order and an injunctive relief based on the First and 14th Amendments. Our clients would like to see quick resolution with the governor and the health officers, changing or modifying this wording. And this Gavin Newsom, boy, you are a fool. You think you're going to get away with persecuting God's church? God has something for you. Look out. Not threaten you, but I'm promising you, you cannot attack God's church, those health officials either. You cannot attack God's church and hope to get away unscathed. And to be quite honest, we don't have to do anything. Our God will take care of you. And we're here at the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. That CTM stands for Christian Times Magazine News, in case you're wondering. Since the initiation of the lockdown, restrictive mandates and the state health orders have been applied to houses of worship unfairly and much more aggressively than other businesses arbitrarily deemed essential, including restaurants and other gatherings. In fact, once they are allowed to reopen, this current state order does not ban singing or chanting in dine-ins, restaurants, bars, wineries, casinos, family entertainment centers, day camps, hotels, shopping malls, child care centers, schools, or music, TV, or film production. This is a direct violation of religious rights here in this country. I suggest somebody comes up with a bill to impeach Governor Newsom and all those named in this lawsuit. They're trying to take away your religious freedoms. And I don't care what religion you are. They're attacking Christianity. And we knew this was coming. As Christians, we know it. Because the devil is mad. We have a president that honors God, of the Jewish people and the Christians. And here you are, Mr. Newsom, persecuting the church. What happened to the people who persecuted the church in the past, Mr. Newsom? You had better go hide under a tree somewhere. But I'm going to tell you something. You are not going to escape God's judgment on you and your family. You will not escape. So you better back out of this order. Let that foolishness go before God deals with you. I'm sorry for going religious on you here today, but this is a fact. I don't have to do nothing but get on my knees and pray. He will take care of you and that foolishness in California. In Mendocino and Butte counties, indoor worship service together with protests fitness centers, malls, offices for non-essential actors and personal care services, as well as day camps, hotels, child care centers, schools, and music, TV, film productions are permitted to remain open. Yet, listen to this foolishness. Singing and chanting is only banned in worship service, places that historically to serve God, and it must be done through praise and worship of Him. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to close out our program for today. Welcome back. You're watching Black Conservative Voice on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Once again, another foolish plan out of the state of California. California, they're always up to something foolish, and they are going to be judged. They keep wondering whether they can be cut off and dropped into the sea. Well, look out. I serve a God that's able to take you and drop you into the sea. So you need to stop it, Mr. Newsom, and you need to learn, and you will learn. I don't have to teach you. God will teach you. ACLU on school reopening. Every child in America, regardless of zip code in which they reside, should have access to quality education. Unfortunately, countless American children are currently trapped in failing schools. That is why we at the ACLJ have long supported providing parents with a choice in where they send their children to school. And this is also President Trump's, also his view. Now, as school districts across America struggle to provide education options during the COVID-19 pandemic, we are faced with a reality that even more children will be denied access to quality education. This situation makes it more than ever that parents be provide choice and flexibility as they work to ensure that children's needs are met. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina has introduced the School Choice Now Act. School Choice Now Act, that's going to be the SCNA, which would be a tremendous boost to the goal. If enacted, Senator Scott's legislation would allocate 10% of all upcoming COVID-related education spending towards school choice programs, which means you could choose where you want to send your children. This is why we have charter schools. Of course, we know, and we're going to be talking about more of this on Monday, but this legislation would provide real choice. It could include homeschools, it could include private schools, and it could include charter schools. It could include religious schools as well. I do not have time to continue this whole article, but I would say to you that the ACLJ is also in a battle with California, and this thing where they're trying to keep schools from opening. They don't want schools open, yet the charter schools and the private schools are wanting to open up, but they are mad because they're saying they can't remain closed as long as the charter schools are preventing them from remaining closed. As long as they open up, the public schools have to open as well. So, California, get yourselves together. You're asking for real problems. And it's not necessarily coming from the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, but it's coming from God our Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. He is the one that's going to bring judgment on the California governor and their people there who are trying to prevent praise and worship in the churches and leaving all other venues the opportunity to sing and to... This is pure foolishness. This is an outright violation of religious liberties under the Constitution and our religious rights. Well, once again, before I go, I want to thank you for joining me here at the Black Conservative Voice. And I want to say to you, as I always do at the end of all my programs, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Until next time, this is David Colbert here on the Black Conservative Voice on CTM News, the voice of truth.